Just one question before you get on to that
discussion.
Somebody called Doe is asking.
Doe?
Yeah. Did Zuhri do tadlis?
Did Zuhri do tadlis? Zuhri, Shihab al-Zuhri. Generally, we do respect, obviously, highly Imam Zuhri. He was one of the dons of Medina and one of the teachers of Imam Malik. However, Imam Zuhri was shukran. Imam Zuhri was a major, what I would call a powerhouse of hadith, as in one of the key people that transmit so many hadith. So there's a few of them. I mean, there's some key people, you will hear their names repeatedly. People like Zuhri, people like Ibn Jurayj, people like Qatada, A'mash. These kind of people and other figures, they're like powerhouses, as in from them stem loads of narrations. Like these people are like your broadband version of hadith coming down. So when it comes to them, it zooms out, and then people after them are just the olden day dial-up kind of system. They're not as, these guys are the main vents of hadith. Zuhri was also the first person commissioned to document hadith when he did, by Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. When he did so, he never did it with chains. That was not the request at the time. The chain collection began after him. Now, and although he may have witnessed that, he dies, if I'm correct, I think he dies in 124 Hijri or something like that. Now, Imam Zuhri, one problem with him is that he's a major mudallis. He's mudallis is somebody that when you present chains of hadith, so when we're saying, so I'm going to say I heard something from, let's say I heard it from Ibi, who heard it from Irfan, who heard it from, let's say, Nav. Now that's a chain. But the problem is that because Ibi is so, Ibrar, isn't it? Ibrar is so popular, mashallah, amongst people. And so let's just say now he has a really bad reputation. So nobody really wants to take anything from him. I have no idea why they'd want to do that to you, Ibrar, but let's just assume it's something to do with your personality. No, I'm joking. So what I mean by sorry, I need to sober up people. So let's just say, for whatever reason, now, so what I do is, because I have also met Irfan, who I have at times taken things from, but this particular thing, I haven't heard it directly from Irfan. I've heard it through Ibrar, then Irfan. But what I choose to do is drop his name. And I just say, from Irfan, from Nav, that this was said. Now people will say, oh yeah, but Mufti knows Irfan, yes, so he must have heard it directly from him. So without me saying the word I heard directly from, I imply, I allow to mislead you in you thinking that I heard this directly, and at the same token, I haven't lied. I've misled. So there's a difference. One is I clearly say, I heard this from him when I didn't, so that's lying. One is I mislead you into thinking that I'm saying that. So I just say, yeah, one day Irfan said. Now I don't say I heard it, he said it to me, I just say he said. So you assume I heard this directly from him because I know him and we're contemporaries and we've met. But the truth is, this has come through somebody else who is unreliable, and I've dropped that person in the chain, from the chain. This is called tadlis. As shocking as this is, surprisingly, scholars have accepted it. I mean, it's so, some people like Imam Shu'bah, who is also a powerhouse of hadith, he claimed, he was very strict against tadlis and used to deem it haram. Shu'bah used to say tadlis was haram. Anybody who does that has committed a sin. But other scholars seem to be kind of more forgiving towards tadlis, and that's quite shocking in my eyes. But nevertheless, so Imam Zuhri is a major mudallis, and Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani in his book of Mudallisin places him in the Tabaqat al-Thalitha, from the third category, which is the least, that you can write their hadith but you can't use it as evidence unless he clearly says I heard. And by the way, sometimes, so there's two layers to this trick. Layer one for the normal people is just saying, you know, he said like an from this person, and I'm hoping you guys are going to take the bait. You're going to say, oh, an, he must have heard it from him. So in Arabic they use the word an as in ayn nun, which means kind of from or on the authority of. Now then there's another for the advanced players. He realizes this ain't going to cut it. So he ups the game. So he uses words like akhbarana, that he has informed us. And people like Zuhri still play the game on akhbarana as well. Him, Ibn Jurayj, these people are notorious with akhbarana. So they will, akhbarana means he told me, like he informed me. So the normal word that scholars of hadith use is haddathana, he spoke it to me. So they will avoid that word because they don't want to lie, but they'll say akhbarana, he informed me. And what that means is, oh, I read it in his book. He had a book and I read it in there. He never told me whether the book was right or wrong, but he informed me via a book. You understand? So it's the equivalent today of saying, if I said, you know, if I said something like, let's just say I said something like, Sheikh Hamza Yusuf informed me that we should do things like this and this. And then somebody said, oh wow, are you in liaison? I mean, do you communicate with Sheikh Hamza Yusuf? And I said, well, no, he informed me via his Facebook status. This is the equivalent of what they were doing. This was the advanced layer. This was when, you know, skill 9,000 or something. Or this was, so a lot of people would think, oh, akhbarana is okay. But it wasn't. This was wrongly used as well. So Zuhri does do that a lot. We have to be wary of a lot of narrations from Zuhri. This is why Imam Malik, who is if you get all the narrators from Imam Zuhri, the most reliable is who? Imam Malik. They say, Athbatun nas fi Zuhri, Malik. And yet Imam Malik only transmits about, 300 hadith from him? And you know, when Imam Malik had passed away, they have found a large kind of container which they opened up, and it had so many hadith in there from Zuhri which he hadn't transmitted. So he was very wary as well, Imam Malik was, about although he did respect Imam Zuhri in his own right, but he was very wary what he transmitted.
A question that's linked to Zuhri here is that did he have a political agenda? Because he seems to be narrating some anti-Umayyad hadith.
Yeah, it's really interesting, you see. Zuhri is an interesting person because, he is in many ways he's a key scholar of Medina and so on, but he has these political Umayyi, because he worked for the Umayyads, he participated in their battles, and he used to be paid by them and stuff like this. On the other hand, Shia include Imam Zuhri in their biographies of the Shia. Some of them say Imam Zuhri was a Shia, but he was a covert Shia. A lot of the radiallahu anha, a lot of the issues to do with Aisha, issues to do with the Quran, a lot of those which the Shia do pick up on, oh, but how come you guys have got this in your books if you condemn us? They actually tend to come through Zuhri, which is an interesting thing. I do actually find it quite plausible. I think Imam Zuhri, in my understanding, was very much inclined towards the later part of his life, towards the Shia cause. And I think he didn't come out with that openly because it would have been detrimental to his whole, to his career. Because in his early life, he definitely isn't. Because in the time of Imam Zayd, he doesn't seem to align himself with Imam Zayd or anything. But then I think as time progresses and you see some of the struggles going on in Medina and stuff like this, it appears that he does seem to have aligned himself with the Shia, and this is why some of the Shia include him in their books in saying Imam Zuhri was actually a Shia. So I think that's, you know, we can't say one way or the other, but this is what it seems. When you look at the riwayat that come to us, all the problematic ones that the Shia tend to use against Sunnis, they generally usually just come through Zuhri, which is, I think it's interesting. But I hope that helps.